Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video I'm making a custom order of a matching resin coaster and tray set with real dried flowers. The first thing I'm doing is making sure that my molds are clean, so I'm just taking some Scotch tape and going over the molds, and this will pick up any small dust particles or fibers. I'll be using flowers that I purchased online. You can also dry your own flowers, which my mom and I do all the time, but for this set I'm using purchased flowers. As usual, I'll put affiliate links in the description, so if you're interested in purchasing any of these products that you see me using in this video, make sure to check that out. I opened the packages to the flowers that I'll be using, and I'm starting off by placing some leaves into the molds. These packets of flowers are very convenient to use because they come already dried and pressed. A cheaper alternative is definitely to dry your own flowers, although they might not end up looking as perfect as these do, and that's also okay. I use tweezers to place the flowers and leaves into the molds because they're very fragile and would break if I were to use my fingers. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of rearranging, and I just keep on moving things around until I'm happy with how it looks. This is definitely the longest part of the process. Once you have your flowers in place, next is just pouring the resin. I'll quickly skip through some parts so that I don't bore you guys too much. Now that I'm satisfied with the layout, I pour my part A and part B resin and mix them together for a few minutes. I only mixed a little bit of resin because I'm not going to be doing this in one pour. I'm going to be doing it in 3 different layers actually. This first cup of resin is to cast the flowers so that they stay in place and don't rise to the top. Then I'll be doing a second layer, and after that I'll be adding a top coat. I pour very slowly into my molds because if I were to pour any faster, it would cause for the flowers to move. And I'm just pouring it in the area where the flowers are. Then I take a wooden stick and I use it to make small adjustments to their placement. And I use a torch gun to pop any air bubbles. I'm being very careful to move the torch gun very quickly so that I don't burn the resin, and especially so that I don't burn any of the flowers or leaves. And I came back the next day to do the second layer. Again, I mix my part A and part B resin. Once I'm done mixing the resin for a few minutes, I pour it into a smaller cup, and I'm pouring it onto this wooden stick, which will cause less air bubbles. I mix it a little more just to be extra sure that it's well mixed, and then I start pouring into my coaster molds. And I use the torch gun to pop any air bubbles. I repeat the process of pouring the resin into the smaller cup, and then I pour into my tray mold. I scraped out any of the leftover resin and poured it into my tray mold. I used the wooden stick to remove any small fibers in the resin. I used the torch gun again, and now I'm ready to add in my handles. I place them in the mold with the help of a paper towel so that I'm extra careful that I don't get any resin onto the handles. I plop them in, and from there do my best to make sure that they're aligned. And here's the clip of me demolding the coasters and tray. A small part of the mold was stuck to the tray, so very carefully, using an X-Acto knife, I separated the two. Luckily, I didn't damage the mold, but a better way to get your mold unstuck is to put it in a warm tub of water, and that way you don't risk damaging your mold. After I added a top coat, I also added a gold trim. And here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Follow me on my Instagram, Summer Girl Designs, and my mom's Instagram, Wild Heart Resin Art.